What is up, YouTube? I'm in the garage today. I've got a new attachment I bought. Well, it's more of an addition to an existing attachment that I've posted some videos of. Today we're going to be looking at the black splitter again because I just got an additional attachment for it. So what this does is you can see there's a mount there and then some holes there. So it sandwiches, this grapple will sandwich between the splitter itself and my top bracket. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take the top bracket off. I'm going to put this one on there and we're going to test it out. Got two quick connects to go into the machine. And then 8 additional bolts. 8 bolts. And then 2 adapter pieces for the actual grapple itself. So, when I get hoses made for the grapple itself, I'm going to get new main hoses made because these were about 30-year-old hoses that we repurposed. So I'll have to swap those out. So I don't know how well the grapple or the splitter is going to store with the grapple, because now it won't be able to sit flat like this with the cone up off of the ground. It's going to be sitting on this grapple with the cone in the ground. So that'll be something I'll have to pay attention to when time comes to it. Those are loose. What? Oh. Wait. Okay. Well, looks like he sent me the wrong bolts, but we can still get everything mounted. So I got this. These are the ones. These are the ones he sent. These are the ones coming off of it. So I'll have to have him send different bolts out. I purchased about a couple weeks ago. I got an email from Ransom Attachments, just going over another attachment that I bought, which if you guys want to see, I can make a video on that. It's a screening bucket. And I scrolled to the bottom and I saw this thing. It says now stocking these grapples attachments for the S2 models of the splitter. So I emailed them up. I said, hey, can you get me a price on that? So he got me a price on it and sent it down. And I'm going to try it out, pretty much, what it comes down to. I can't say enough nice stuff about Ransom Attachments. They're always, this will be my third product I've bought from them, and they always have really nice attachments in stock, and they're willing to order stuff if you have something weird. And the owner, Eric, will always work with you on pricing, and he'll get you a good price on whatever you're looking for. Well, that was easier than I thought. Pretty much with the black splitters, it's just a big hydraulic motor, 1 speed. you go. They have different models to choose from. This one's their smallest model. And it's just a direct drive. They have planetary geared ones. But when you get up in that price range, you're doing a lot of big wood every single day. And it's not really something I do. So I went with this model. And the cone, the whole cone's replaceable. But the cone here, there's a seam here, and this tip is replaceable. If you ever damage the tip, you can just replace from here down. But you pretty much take off these bolts, and there's a big nut behind here, and that tip will hammer off. But there's really nothing to it, just hydraulic motor. So now I gotta figure out how I'm going to get this to mate to that. If I just all right, so since I gotta re-tap these ones, run a tap down them so that I can get these bolts in. They're kind of being tricky. So he's gonna send me the right size bolts. So the next clip, this will be all together and be plumbed up, and we'll get right into using it. All right, so I finally got it all mounted on the machine. I ended up getting the right bolts. They accidentally sent me the cone bolts, but I bought these little weld-on pieces from Amazon to kind of get this hose nice and strapped up out of the way. But here it is fully mounted. I got a little bit of time on it now, but I'm just gonna do a time lapse now with my father in the machine, see how he likes it. Got some stuff on the trailer, so I'm gonna run the processor, but do a little time lapse of him running this. So we got quite a bit split up with the screw and with the processor. Put up about 2 cords in a little over 2 hours. And it actually worked pretty good, but it's got its plus and minuses. Towards the end there, we actually ended up bending it a little bit. He was grabbing a piece through here, trying to swing it over, and then kind of hit the blade there and bent it. So it definitely has its advantages and disadvantages. It's nice when you got a bunch of these splits lined up and you need to stack them. I think it's more useful in an open area. We're pretty tight here in the shop, but if we were out in the log yard, then you can grab a bunch of pieces at once and move them around. But it doesn't really save you that much time. It saves you a little bit when the tip is dull. Right now it's super dull. So when you're trying to stab a piece to go down through, you know, it takes you a little bit to stab it. The log's rolling. It could be a little tricky. But when that's sharp, you just poke the log, twist it 2 times, and it's good. And it's a little weird to me because coming from a tilt rotator that has grabbers on the back of it, I can angle it any way I want. So this is just straight with the boom. So me trying to go down and grab a piece, it's a little awkward at first, but once you get used to it, it's not bad. Another thing is, with this mount here, before we just had this top mount pinned or bolted on the bottom there. With that bracket for the grapple in there, when you're trying to get close to the blade, when you're trying to pull a piece in here to cut the frilly pieces off, I don't know what you'd call them, you want to work close to the blade, and when you get to here, you can't go all the way in. It's pointing down like that because you can't curl it all the way out because this back pin isn't flat anymore. It's angled up. So with that angle, it's nice when you're working far away from you because you can keep that screw nice and straight and pull it towards it. But most of the time we're working with short pieces and we don't have the length behind them to be able to keep them still. So the addition of this angle is a little messy. I would consider it a little more useful if this was a square bracket and this top plate here was parallel to the screw plate there. Another thing is, when I purchased this, my dealer, who ran some attachments, made sure that I didn't have an electronic solenoid diverter valve because he didn't want the pressure from the screw bypassing back into the grapple, because these screws need to run a little higher pressure than what a thumb would run. But luckily my thumb circuit is different from my screw circuit. So I was able to tap in there, put a T, and then I just move this to whenever I want to use an attachment. So I got to bend this back straight. But overall, I would say it's pretty useful. But if you're in the market to buying one of these, if you don't already have one, I would say go ahead and get the grapple with it. But if you already have one, I don't know if it's necessarily a need to purchase one. It doesn't make it really any more efficient. Just makes cleaning up a little easier. But as much as it's handy, it gets in the way too. Like when you're trying to scrape a piece down, the thumb, if you're really trying to drive down into a piece, that grapple can kind of get in the way. So it's handy. I'm going to keep it on here. But if you're looking at buying one, I would order it with the grapple if you have the 2 auxiliary circuits on your machine. But if you already have one, I would say it's probably not a necessity to buy one. That's going to be it for this one. If you guys enjoyed the video, leave a like. And if you want to see more videos like this showcasing attachments and various other machines and work, drop a like, and I'll see you in the next one.